text 21 for the first time, when I was reading the Bhagavatam the first time, it gave me great hope, because it describes how the person meets devotees, gets mercy, starts listening, then Krishna purifies the heart, then all anarthas are gone, then rajas tamas are gone, then you understand God, and then you become free from mukta sangha, sangasya jayate, you become free from matter, and then it says bhidyate hridaya grantish, then the hard knot in the heart is cut, and chidyate sarva samshaya, and all the doubts are removed. And, so doubts can still be there. Oh, okay, so I'm not the only terrible demon who has. Of course, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that these are special doubts. It's quite interesting. He describes these different doubts. He says that doubts regarding Krishna are removed quite early by Shravanam. Then doubts regarding bhakti are removed as you practice. So as you try, you feel, you immediately all doubts are removed, because it works actually. You get connection. Krishna takes your offering. You can feel you are connected. And but still one doubt remains. And what's the doubt? Is it possible for me to achieve Krishna? I doubt this. So then when you see Krishna, Drishva Kavatmanishvare, when you see Krishna, then this doubt also is removed. That, Krishna is so merciful, he will show himself even to me. So this way all the doubts are removed. But this is 21, this is the last text of this section, and this is a famous text, this sequence, Kshiyante chasya karmani, karma is finished, and Drishta Kavatmanishvare, when you see Ishvara in the heart. So that's repeated in other places, and there is a very similar verse from the Upanishads also describing this. But that we will read tomorrow. And today we read a very interesting verse 20. Maybe I shall put it also for... actually it's probably upside down. Sorry, I have to move the... Just a second, and let me get this. I will have to either pause or restart, or do it vertical. I didn't turn it. Yeah, sister is writing, it's sideways. Maybe I'll put it like this. So let me put this on the board. Actually, what should I do? This is 1, 2, 20. Yeah, no. 1, 2. Let us chant. Evam prasanna manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogata Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangasya Jayate Evam prasanna manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogata Bhagavatattva Vijnana Mukta Sangasya Jayate Evam thus Prasanna enlivened. It's a nice interesting word connected to prasad. It has 5 levels of meaning. The first word is sad, to sit. And then prasad literally means sediment. And you can see it's a common Indo-European word. Sat, sit, zessen. It's like, see, every language has something connected. So sediment, like if you have muddy water, you leave it and then it sits down. So it's called sediment. So that's first level of prasad. But then if the sediment sits down, the water is clear. So that's the second level, clarity. Prasadam or prasanna means clear. But if the mind is clear, the next level is you are satisfied. Right? Clarity means satisfied. But if you are satisfied, then the next level is mercy. Right? You are happy, then you can share, you can give something. Right? So from satisfaction comes prasad or mercy. And then the next one, our favorite, if mercy, then it's manifest as very nicely cooked and offered prasad that we can eat. Very tangible form of mercy. So these are different levels of this word prasad. Sometimes we translate as mercy, but it can also mean prasadam adhigachati in the 2nd chapter of the Gita. We translate mercy. But actually there, an ordinary yogi who doesn't know yet about bhakti, he will see it as clarity. The prasadam adhigachati, you will get clear vision, clear mind, which allows you to see everything clearly. But here it's commented by everybody that prasanna enlivened. It's an interesting also translation by Srila Prabhupada. Enlivened. He basically means happy, joyful. But Prabhupada doesn't just say joyful, he chooses actually a rather rare synonym, right? Did you ever use this word enlivened? It's like, okay, we may say inspired, but enlivened, it's rather rare. But Prabhupada is so careful, so meticulous which word he's choosing. Because enlivened means that it comes to life. Before it was dull matter, and now it's spiritualized enough that some real consciousness is coming to life from deep inside. And so Prabhupada puts this meaning of enlivened, that it becomes really alive. Although the normal surface meaning is you become happy, you become joyful, enlivened, inspired, joyful. So evam prasanna, prasanna enlivened. Manasa, of the mind. Bhagavad Bhakti, the devotional service of the Lord. Yogata, by contact of. Bhagavat, regarding the personality of Godhead. Tattva, knowledge. Vijnanam, scientific. Mukta, liberated. Sangasya, of the association. Jayate, becomes effective. So the translation here. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So you can see that here we reach bhava, basically. This verse describes the level of true freedom. So true freedom means that you cross to the other side, from sattva gun to shuddha sattva. In other words, you get some real transcendental non-material experience. So your spiritual mind becomes restored, recovered. But there is something else very interesting here. we will discuss. So let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.3, it is said that out of many thousands of ordinary men, one fortunate man endeavors for perfection in life. Mostly, men are conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance. Thus, they are engaged always in lust, desire, hankerings, ignorance, and sleep. Out of many such men-like animals, there is actually a man who knows the responsibility of human life and thus tries to make life perfect by following the prescribed duties. And out of many thousands of such persons who have thus attained success in human life, one may know scientifically about the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. In the same Bhagavad Gita 1855, it is also said that scientific knowledge of Sri Krishna is understood only by the process of devotional service, bhakti yoga. Bhaktya Tvaneya Sakyo. No, that's 11th chapter. By bhakti yoga you can understand. By the way, now we are 5, all of us in spectacles. I'm sorry to know that it is not all of us have spectacles. The very same thing is confirmed here in, maybe I should announce that only people in spectacles can watch. The very same thing is confirmed here in the above words. No ordinary man, or even one who has attained success in human life, can know scientifically or perfectly the personality of Godhead. So we are warned that it's not cheap, it's not, you should not be proud, oh, I will understand. And this is the reason why in some cultures, especially Abrahamic, they have strict rules about having no pratima, no forms. Like Muslims, it's a big sin even to make a picture of God or a form of God, or some of them even extend it to any living entity. But primarily to God. And therefore also, whenever you speak to somebody from India, please warn them to not refer to deity worship as idol worship, because in the West it has very negative connotations. Idol in the West always means false form. Idol is always a forms imagined, invented form. Big no-no, right? So it's not an idol, it's a deity or authorized. It's not a fantasized form, it's an authorized, bona fide form. Right? Again, it's not that every Abrahamic, even some Muslims have some forms. Rumi speaks about worshipping, of course he's a Sufi, he's a mystic, so it's different. What to speak about Christians, especially Catholics, they have there is a lot of some form worship.
See, one of the persons we are living with is a Muslim, and he said that in the Quran, it's mentioned in the history that they used to worship forms.
Yes.
Yes. Later, when the many prophets came, then they told not to, because they are not following properly, so they asked them to stop it.
So what I'm saying, it has a philosophical basis in it. That we also say you cannot imagine a form of, and you should not imagine a form of God, and you should not be proud that God. I can understand. This is the form. He has a form like this and like this, because his form is actually, in the material sense, formless. It's not restricted by space. It's not restricted by inside and outside. Like once one student challenged Srila Prabhupada. He said, Swamiji, is God outside or inside? He thought he will trick Srila Prabhupada. Whichever he answers, he will, offer some opposite. So Prabhupada laughed. He said, Krishna is absolute. He's both inside and outside. There's no difference for him. For him, there's no difference. He's not restricted by space. The space is a gross element. Even the mind is not restricted by this. What to speak about spirit? So, therefore, we can admit that for a spiritual development, very often what will happen, the person will encounter some, how to say it in a soft way, materialistic religion, which speaks mostly about this world, being wealthy. It's a karmakanda, yeah? Wealthy, healthy, successful, right? And very often God will also be described in such very gross materialistic terms, like just, sugar daddy. Sugar daddy in the clouds who just bakes bread to make you happy, to keep you happy, right? Order supplier, as Prabhupada is referring to this concept. Order supplier. He's there to make you happy. So then, next step, the person will realize it doesn't work, first of all, and second of all, no matter how much sugar I get, I'm not happy. Right? No matter how much bread he sends, it doesn't satisfy me, the soul. The soul is spirit, so our Prabhupada says our hunger and thirst is spiritual. Therefore, no material things can actually make us pleased, make us happy. So then what often happens, the person, if they don't have guidance, they will reject all forms and they will tend to accept something impersonal. The natural opposite. If this is a form, he will say, this is idol worship of this kind or that kind. So therefore I just take formless, freedom, unlimited, infinite, transcendental, beyond any forms, beyond the names. So that's the natural reaction to this limited, somewhat materialistic presentation of God, or deity, supreme deity. So that will be the next natural tendency. One can become a Buddhist, or can become an impersonalist, or even in established religion, there's some impersonal strands. There are some impersonal strands. So that's the next step. And then the next step depends on mercy. The next step, if the person is actually eager to know the truth, he's not, dogmatic. He actually wants to know the truth. So if he is sincere, he wants to know the truth, then Krishna will send some information, some people, something, the books, so that the person can learn further. There is something on the other side. Beyond this effulgence, there is a form. There's Hiranmayena Hiranmayena Patrena Sadasyapi Hitamukam Tatvam Pushana Pavrino. That, Lord, please move this golden curtain of effulgence and show your face to me. I want to go further. So these are.
I have one question. It's like there are many people who preach Chandogya Upanishad to disprove the deity worship or having deity even. One of the verses in Chandogya Upanishad starts with Natasme Pratima Asmi, and then it further says that of him, continues a sense like this, of him there cannot be any image and cannot be realized through images or any form. So why did Upanishads and Vedas, the hierarchy which it comes in general understanding that we have Vedic civilization or Vedic understanding, why did not they wanted to emphasize this thing or even mention it in any explicit or implicit form?
It is there, but you can say this verse is like that, the rejection of the material form. So Upanishads in general, actually, they are mostly geared to rejecting the gross materialism, you can say. Right? Mm-hmm. They are easily leaning to impersonal representation. So basically they try to smash the attachment to gross matter and to gross forms, and therefore they will emphasize oneness mostly, or even if they speak about the difference between soul and super soul, it's very common for the Upanishads to put them to, this is like chapter 13 in the Gita. Mm-hmm. Krishna speaks about the soul and super soul almost in the same line. You have to figure out, is it the same or is it different? Mm-hmm. So it's very characteristic, it's a very Upanishadic type of presentation. Through paradoxes, you speak through paradoxes to break through the dual Aristotelian logic. with exclusion of the third. Everything has to be either black or white. Nothing else is possible.
And Katha Upanishad also speaks about when the Nachiketa is having conversation, that if you cannot conquer this, which we were reading here from commentary, that if you cannot conquer your desires, finish it. Do it to the maximum extent. It will end away itself. You will die in it probably, but then
that's mentioned in the 7th canto. That it describes Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, and then it says Chandalas, or it doesn't say Chandalas, it's Antyajas, the outside, those who are outside the Varnashram. He says sometimes it is recommended for them to have a lot of enjoyment. He says why? Because it's like if you put a big amount of ghee in the fire, sometimes it can put down this fire a little bit, but it's not, how do I say, it's not no guarantee. We see oftentimes there are some devotees who become devotees after some excess. Excessive, all kinds of materialistic excesses. They try to really, or like even hippies, that was,
tired of their own enjoyment.
They tried everything, and this is what Devamrita Maharaj says in his urban preaching seminar. He says nowadays people, by the time they are 17, they've tried everything. So he comes to them and he says, guys, you're already 17. You have tried everything and you have seen it's useless. And they say, we are fried. We are burnt out. So it's, first of all, there is no guarantee. Second of all, there has to be, it usually works when there is knowledge or there is somebody who is, on their side, it's good if they have interest in something higher and there is an opportunity. And it's usually for antyajas, those who are outside of civilized society. They don't have a proper method for advancement. So in other words, it sounds very attractive. Oh, maybe I should just... That was Rajneesh program. It didn't work for him, For him personally, it didn't work. So how can it work for his followers? How many Rolls Royces did he have? So why did he never stopped? Why he didn't? Why it never was enough? So
he said, let's take it to the maximum.
And it never reached. This is what Vamanadev says to Hiranyakashipu. To Bali Maharaj. He says that if you don't know how to be satisfied with 3 steps, even all the gold in the universe, all the grain, all the women or sex or partners in the universe, and all the grains in the universe will not make you satisfied. And Hiranyakashipu has proven this. He had the whole universe in his pocket, and he was always angry. He was all red eyes of anger. Always, it was not enough. He was dissatisfied. So,
this turning toward God consciousness, how does it happen? Of such people, like what is the...
So primary requirement is in fact, like Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra says, Athato Brahma Jigyasa.
Even getting there jigyasa.
Yes, exactly. So Atha Ato. When Atha Ato? So the meaning is that, okay, you have tried material things to become satisfied. Are you satisfied? No. So now is the time you ask about the absolute reality. You ask about the absolute truth. So basically it's the highest requirement, inquisitiveness. And that's rare. This is what Krishna says. Out of thousands, maybe one will ask what is the truth. I remember already in my school I was looking around and I was trying to categorize. I was categorizing people in 2 categories. They were alive and they were dead. So many people were living like robots. No thought. What am I doing? Where am I going? Just like a robot. And this is unfortunate situation that so many people are like that.
Yeah,
like robots.
Then comes the next logical question: is God sadist?
No.
Was Krishna sadist? He could have made this arrangement perfectly. That That's a basic question which is asked.
He made it perfectly. It's our choice to then misuse. Like, he made this world in such a way that you can just come in and out.
Why to make it in first place? That will be the next question.
Our wish. Prabhupada, Bhagavatam, like 5 times emphasizes that Krishna didn't want to create this. Even in the Gita we have this in one place. I will find later. That it's not made by his desire, it's made because we want it. He even dissuaded, he was telling us, don't do this, don't go there. But we say, no I want.
So you're saying he created
for us. No, for us.
First he must have created us, or we
No.
must...
Najayate mriyate vakadachin. Krishna says the soul never takes birth. It's eternal.
But where does it come from? It's part and parcel of Krishna.
You are judging in terms of time.
Okay.
But there's no time in the spiritual existence. There is time, but there's no past and future. It's the eternal now.
So it was always the status quo. There was Krishna.
Yeah.
Like,
And the souls, unlimited souls. And then a few of them, somehow or other, they have this idea to try themselves as big...
and Krishna was not the creator of these souls.
He's the creator in the sense of hierarchy and dependence. So that's why sometimes it will be said that he's the creator and the source. But it's a projection on our time concept. Because there was never a time when Krishna says, well, you did not exist, or I did not exist, or all these kings.
Right? We existed, or our soul came into existence as soon as
Krishna never came into existence.
Yeah, that question does not make even question.
Yes, exactly. So this is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when you start debating on this, then only anarthas grow.
Okay.
Because it becomes clear as soon as you develop the understanding of concept of existence outside of time and existence outside of causality. Because that's what spirit is. Not bound by time, not bound by causality.
Okay.
What to speak about forms and these things. Okay, let's go on here. Continue here. Just one more point. How to help the robots, so to say. I'm sorry, the people who have no idea. On a side note, later I have come to a more, generous outlook. I think that everybody is a soul, so everybody can be awakened. And in fact, this is what is the program of Srila Prabhupada. He doesn't just cherry pick philosophers and those who are already prepared, but he sends people sing Hare Krishna, distribute books, give prasadam, do some cultural festivals and programs and something. And then this is Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. And then what happens, people collect Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti, which is the most powerful. One drop of Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti you can exchange for tons and mountains of other Sukriti. And then when it collects sufficiently, then after some time some interest can arise. They can start asking questions. What am I? What is the meaning of life? And so forth. And in general, I think somehow there is this strong current in the world of people asking questions. Yoga is booming, mainstream all over the world, and people more and more realize it's not just the body, it's actually about spirits and self-realization. Every corporation nowadays, it's mainstream. Every self-respecting corporation will have meditation retreats or something, mindfulness. This big German guru, this success coach, he's taking people for meditation retreats in corporations. So there is something very positive.
But I think it's cool also, because I did Mr. Children yoga, but it is always on the bodily aspect.
Yeah,
they want
mostly.
Yoga and meditation that you can relax and then you can work harder. This is not spiritual.
It's not spiritual.
It's bodily.
However, it brings people closer to Sattva-gun, and if you are in Sattva-gun, then spiritual inquiry comes. Like I had one devotee, he was telling me he was a construction worker, and he would drink beer with his friends, and ordinary man. And then he found some yoga books, and he started doing yoga, and he started doing quite interesting. He started doing shavasana. Shavasana meaning this total relaxation, and it's okay, still physical. But then he says he started experiencing that I'm not quite the body, or I can. The spirit is above the body, stronger than the body. And he says within a few months he lost all interest in beer. He stopped drinking beer. He stopped associating with his drunkard bodies. And then when he met devotees, he immediately took interest. So even though he started also on the bodily platform, but because he experienced something higher than the gross physical body, and he got higher to Sattva-gun, then inquiry arose. He started asking questions. What am I? What is the truth? What is the absolute reality? So let them start somewhere, and then we hope we can. Also, I never tire to be inspired by the Germany's progress. Like every 4 months, every time I come after 2, 3, 4 months, something better happens. Like this time, after 2, 3 months, I see that in DM, on the shelves, you have vegan. All the marks. Now they mark every product. Is it vegan, vegetarian, or they have vegan, vegetarian, something else, something. So it's almost becoming like in India, where that everything is marked. Is it vegan or is it not? So you don't have any doubts. Is it safe to eat for vegetarians? Before last year, what inspired me was that even on the soap they write vegan. It was also new. It's somewhat fresh.
Very strong.
Yeah, and also quick.
Very fast.
Yeah. All right, so let's continue here. So ordinary man cannot know perfectly God. Perfection of human life is attained when one can understand that he is not the product of matter, but is in fact spirit. And as soon as one understands that he has nothing to do with matter, he at once ceases his material hankerings and becomes enlivened as a spiritual being. This attainment of success is possible when one is above the modes of passion and ignorance. Or in other words, when one is actually a Brahmana by qualification. So it's also quite interesting, already in the first canto, many times Prabhupada emphasizes that in 1 to, it's here, we will 1 to 20, that's actually here. Let's read. A Brahmana is the symbol of Sattva-gun, or the mode of goodness. And others who are not in the mode of goodness are either Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, or less than Shudras. The Brahminical stage is the highest stage of human life because of its good qualities. So, and now here's the bomb, one cannot be a devotee unless one at least qualifies as a Brahmana. Qualifies, not just nominally, but qualifies. But that is not the end of it. As referred to above, such a Brahmana has to become a Vaishnava. In fact, to be actually in the transcendental stage, a pure Vaishnava is a liberated soul and is transcendental even to the position of a Brahmana. In the material stage, even a Brahmana is also a conditioned soul. Because although in the Brahminical stage, the conception of Brahman or transcendence is realized, scientific knowledge of the Supreme Lord is lacking. One has to surpass the Brahminical stage and reach the Vasudeva stage to understand the personality of Godhead Krishna. This is why before the class we say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, sort of to shift gears. That okay, now it's for Krishna, not for. The science of the personality of Godhead is the subject matter for study by the postgraduate students in the spiritual line. For the foolish men or men with a poor fund of knowledge do not understand the Supreme Lord, and they interpret Krishna according to their respective whims. The fact is, however, that one cannot understand the science of the personality of Godhead unless one is freed from the contamination of the material modes, even up to the stage of a Brahmana. When a qualified Brahmana factually becomes a Vaishnava, in the enlivened state of liberation, he can know what is actually the personality of God. So the beautiful thing that inspires me about this verse, it depends. It can be either inspiring or depressing, depending on your... If you're in depression, you will be more in depression. If you are inspired, then you'll be more inspired. It says, basically, that you will that you can understand God only if you're happy. Evam prasanna manasa. Only with the happy mind, with the joyful mind, you can understand God. And Sattva naturally produces happiness. So this is one of the characteristics in the 14th chapter of Sattva. That Sattva is knowledge and happiness. It's a danger of Sattva also, because it makes you happy, you can become attached. And then that already attachment, that's passion. So it already, that's why in the material world they are all mixed. So if I become attached and proud of knowledge and attached to happiness, that's the fall down. That's the trap of passion. It can drag me down. So that's why we are not just about Sattva. We want higher, we want transcendence, we want service, which is not conditioned, not bound. So therefore, devotee will choose sattvic, everything sattvic, but for Krishna. So therefore, if Krishna happens to order you, like he orders Yudhishthir, tell Drona that Ashwatthama is killed, then Yudhishthir has to accept. And because he hesitated, that's why his chariot dropped, because he chose Sattva above Vishuddha Sattva. So that's why he lost a little bit of his power. Although usually in India they do it the other way around. They say that no, it's because he... But that's a karmic view on this lila. So we have been speaking about ruci. So here we see this, these verses that they describe the transition from nishta with sattva to ruci, taste, and to asakti, and with this happiness and realization and mukta sangasya, that's freedom. So freedom, that's already bhava. So bhava, you are officially liberated. You may be still here, but you're already jivan mukta. You're already living but free. So that's a very elevated state. And there are 6 characteristics of bhakti described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is 2 kleshagni shubhada moksha lagutakrit. Let me see where we have it. We have them, okay, we have them in Madhya Lila. Madhya Lila 1795. So 6 characteristics that are there in devotional service. So kleshagni, pure devotional service or uttama bhakti removes all klesha, all suffering. And we can observe this. The person comes to devotional service and he feels relief, great relief. This is also something we were speaking here. You learn about spirit and you feel great inspiration. Then shubhada, all auspicious things. Good fortune is there. So you get all the positive things. So these 2 are already there at sadhana stage. From the very, very beginning. From the very, very beginning you can experience these 2 qualities. Then the next one, moksha laguta krit. It makes moksha lagu, light, and we have this English word also, licht, light, and lohki. In most languages we have this lahko, so it means very insignificant. So even moksha becomes something insignificant. And sudurlabha, very rare. So these 2 refer to bhava, bhakti, the next level. So in bhava you experience so much pleasure that even liberation to you seems like something very, like a straw in the street, something like a piece of garbage. You have so much happiness that it's just not interesting for you anymore. And this is, but also this bhava is sudurlabha. It's very rare to achieve. It's like a huge diamond this size. You know? Maybe somebody has it, but it's very rare. And it's hidden. Even if somebody has it, they hide it. So it's described how you can recognize this. That we will discuss when we speak about bhava. So these two are characteristics of bhava bhakti. It's rare, so therefore it may take time. And then Sandrananda, so that already describes prema. It's the condensed ananda, Sandra Ananda. It's the very thick ananda, bliss. And Sri Krishna, akarshani chasa. It attracts even Krishna. It conquers even Krishna himself. And Srila Prabhupada in that connection will speak about Madan, Mohan, Mohini, Radharani, who attracts even Krishna. So Krishna attracts everybody, but Radharani attracts even Krishna. And this is the beautiful thing mentioned that, I don't know if you may have heard it, that in Vaikuntha, Narayan is more beautiful than Lakshmi. You may have heard it, yes? So that's somewhere you can see some places. But in Goloka, Vrindavan, Radharani is more beautiful than Krishna. So she attracts Krishna himself. Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Shyam. So therefore, Prabhupada says that we, in many places, in the second canto he says that's why we don't go to Krishna directly, we go to his merciful, the supreme personification of compassion, Srimati Radharani, and ask her for mercy. And then he says, even if I'm the last rascal, the worst rascal, if Radharani says to Krishna, please accept his service, Krishna must accept. You can hear Prabhupada says about this in a lecture. In Vrindavan he said that's why you put the flower not in Krishna's hand but in Radharani's hand. And then Krishna must accept. It's ecstatic description. So this describes the higher levels. They are rare, they are special, and they come when ruci becomes thicker and thicker. In Madhurya Kadambini, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur describes also two levels of ruci. He says, the first level, you will be attracted, you will feel great taste and inspiration, but only if the kirtan is nice. Yes, hymn, yes, kira, you're dancing and singing, but if it's not so expert, yeah, okay, not so unconditional, not attracted so unconditionally, and also everything else. So these are two separate levels of ruci. And then at the higher level, it doesn't matter who is leading the kirtan, who is speaking about Krishna, who is chanting. You are attracted to Krishna so much, and you have such a deep appreciation of Krishna and such an unconditional attraction to Krishna that you will relish even some imperfect presentation. Like you can see, Prabhupada was coming to his disciples' classes. I saw Gopi Parandana Prabhu, he would come to everybody's class. So whoever was speaking on the Bhagavatam, he would sit and listen. Even somebody would say something wrong, he would not, he would not correct, he would just listen. Because he said, this is Bhagavatam, this is Krishna, Krishna is so wonderful, I want to hear. He would relish everybody's class.
Then one question here, should we force ourselves? If I, for example, in someone's class, and I I know this speaker that, okay, he's going to present imperfect state as we just categorize. Should we still force ourselves, even though we think we are, okay, still sitting there and, I don't know, not benefiting from that class? For example, when we study in the university, if I'm not benefiting from the teacher, I don't go to that class.
Yeah.
I learn something.
Yeah, so we hear katha to deepen our taste and deepen our appreciation for Krishna. So therefore, even if it is not very exciting to us, still it's a practice of service. Yeah, so I'm hearing not for me, but for Krishna. I'm hearing not to enjoy. I remember this is something that was one of the very first instructions of my temple president, Ugraha, who surprised me. Like, it was my first or second month in the temple in the Brahmacharya ashram, and he asked me, how are you, everything, how is everything today? We were walking to the bus through the forest, and then I said, well, today somehow I couldn't feel the joy of my japa, I couldn't really enjoy my japa. And then he said, you are chanting japa not so that you enjoy, but to give pleasure to Krishna. So I said, oh, actually it makes sense, yeah, true, that's japa, it's not for me, it's not my enjoyment, it's Krishna's enjoyment, so I'm doing this for him. So whether I enjoy or not, that's secondary, I do this for Krishna's pleasure. And in fact, when I do this for Krishna's pleasure, then I receive some much higher and more subtle pleasure. Not just some taste, but it's a higher pleasure of service, of love, right? So we can do this in that spirit, in the framework of our sadhana. If it's, I'm in a temple and there is morning class, then I listen to the morning class, even if it's boring or not so informative, not so many interesting points. Still, it's about Krishna, and I show respect to Krishna by listening. But so that's part of sadhana. But if, for example, he gives a class at 4 o'clock and that's extracurricular, then I may do something else in that case. Sometimes I also take everybody has nowadays everybody has Gita based on their phone. Sometimes you can get out and learn some extra verses, read something to engage your
in the class.
Yeah, engage it. Something relevant, maybe something connected to this. Find some codes that are connected to this. Sometimes you can ask a question to make it more, deep.
I can ask later, but it's connected.
Yes, yeah.
I heard a few times that someone said that if someone is not pure in the heart and he is sitting on Vyasasana and giving lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam, and he is giving his unpure heart, his impurities to us, is contaminating our consciousness and the purity of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's like in connection maybe a little bit with Bhagavad Saptaha, when people are sitting just for lecturing only for their own pleasure, for money and so on. Sometimes people, even devotees do not follow for regulative principles. They are not in the right mood, but they are still lecturing.
Yeah. So there are two ways to take this. One way is that if he has any smallest material desire, then it's very dangerous. We will be infected by his material desires. So that's one way. Another, but that's not how Srila Prabhupada actually put it. And the other way is what Prabhupada did condemn is indeed these materially motivated Bhagavad Saptahas, which are done for money. It's a big business, it's a big affair. It's really, they will not even consider oftentimes to do Bhagavad Saptaha unless it's, 10, 20, 30,000 euros, or, it's a big business. So that Srila Prabhupada condemned. So basically you can see in the first canto, and later he will describe what is required. So basically he says, you can see he says pure devotee. And somehow we often think pure devotee is somebody who is pure. However, Srila Prabhupada would give would ask to give lectures his very young disciples, who obviously were not pure 100% from all the desires in this world. So when it says pure devotee, there is another meaning, one who has accepted the path of pure devotion. So he has set Krishna as his goal and Krishna Bhakti as his path, right, as a process. So this is the definition of pure devotion. Krishna Bhakti is my goal, Krishna Bhakti is my process. So he may not be pure, but he's a practitioner of pure devotion. So in that sense, he's a pure devotee. He is the sadhaka of pure bhakti. So in that sense, he's a pure bhakti. In other words, he accepts Krishna as his goal, he has faith in Krishna, he has faith in bhakti. So therefore, and he does it not in order to enjoy, but as a service. So in that sense, that's you can see Prabhupada, even though he was writing these warnings, he was asking, please do this. He established a system all over ISKCON that please, in every center, you please give classes, please write articles, everybody, please write books. So he was pushing this to do. So therefore, we do have standards, principles. That has to be there, the four regulative principles, and we hope that the person accepts pure bhakti as the method, of perfections. So if that is there, then the rest, that's already we cannot expect that we will have only people who are absolutely free from every other thought. Nityasiddhas from the spiritual world.
But he will not sit on Vyasasana. He say, I'm not qualified. They say, well, you're not qualified. This is sit for the Shema Bhavadam, for the speaker.
We have a GBC rule that whoever gives the Bhagavatam does it from the same Vyasasana.
Yeah, but somebody say, I'm not qualified, you sit on floor.
Then, that's, that sometimes it becomes a game, who is more humble. I will sit on this smaller, and then, no, not like this, give me a piece of paper, or give me a newspaper, I will even lower. No, I will sit just on the floor.
No,
and then becomes a competition in humility.
Maybe when he's so saying, maybe some wrong with principle, or...
Well, as a rule, we have only people who do follow the principles to speak on the Bhagavatam. And devotees take a vow to follow the principles when they take initiation. So we also Prabhupada says in the first canto, one who can substantiate. Is it still working? No. One who can establish pure bhakti above the other 6 darshans.
About the other?
6 darshans, Shat darshan, the other philosophies, Vaisheshika, Nyaya, Sankhya, and so forth.
I'm missing this point. What is it?
Prabhupada says that if you can establish the superiority of the Bhagavat Marg above the other philosophies, that's another qualification for a speaker.
That's a qualification.
Yes.
But to establish, he should be very, I don't know.
It sounds scary that you...
It might be very much almost Shrotriya, he should know scriptures very well.
Yeah, so Prabhupada, even before ISKCON, he wanted Bhakti Shastri and he wanted the systematic courses, Bhakti Vaibhav. He was pushing this all the time. But it doesn't mean that you have to study Sankhya, Vaisheshika very thoroughly. Even though we do have courses on these. In ISKCON it's part of our Bhakti Vaibhav. Sorry, in BHE it's part of our Bhakti Vaibhav course. But there is sufficient, even in Krishna book, Prabhupada discusses them. In Krishna book, he discusses these 6 darshans in the 10th canto, prayers of personified Vedas, they are analyzed. And Bhagavatam in general analyzes all the philosophies and deals with possible arguments. Yes?
Sometimes I wanted to say this, when I was asked to give lectures, I was never sitting on Vyasasana because I felt like as a lady I'm not qualified. But I don't know if it's...
Well, I will send you the GBC resolution which says everybody gives. You know why? Because it's the reaction to the zonal Acharya days, where you had.
I had always feeling that Prabhupada is sitting on Vyasasana, my Guru Maharaj is sitting on Vyasasana.
Exactly, yes,
and
exactly.
I'm sitting at his lotus feet.
So yes, so there is a rule which says no, everybody gives declares from the same Vyasasana. Because before we had a whole special arrangement. We had 3 or 4 levels, in zonal Acharya days. We had Vyasasana for Srila Prabhupada, then a little lower for the zonal Acharya, and then lower for for somebody else, and then still lower for somebody else. And it became, it became a whole political tool for politics, actually, used for politics. And then also, if you don't sit here, then if after you somebody sits here, they become immediately arrogant and proud. So therefore, they will think, no, I should be more humble than her. So please bring me lower. She took, how high was her? Like this. Can you bring me lower? I'm more humble than her. And there will be humility competition, And then somebody will, next one will be giving the lecture in Dandavat, Because we try to compete. So therefore, to avoid such competition, either in pride or in humility, makes it, anyway, it's the same thing. Both are. So therefore, we have a GBC resolution that everybody gives from the same Vyasasana. Not to play games. You can, you take a humble position. More important is to take it to be humble in your consciousness, right? So therefore, before the class, usually devotees will say, "My obeisances to my Guru Maharaj, to Srila Prabhupada," and also how you speak. That's your humility. You follow them. You convey their message. So that's your humility, right? And these external. Okay, you offer obeisances before. You offer obeisances after. Before sitting, you can touch and that. Okay, my respects. So they said it's not for me. It's not as my glory. It's just for the Bhagavatam, because it's his message. It's his message. In other words, this is respect not to me, but to the Bhagavatam and to his message. That's the idea. And also, oftentimes, I can tell you, it's kindness to the audience. Like in Vrindavan, for example, I'm often suffering because the Vyasasana is too low. And if I sit in the middle, I don't see the speaker. I just cannot see. Because in front of me, there will be 2 healthy brahmacharis, and then I find some, little corner where I can see half of the face of the speaker, and then he will move, and then again, I'm blocked. So it's also kindness to the listeners that you are high enough that they can actually see who is there speaking in the. Here maybe it's not so big, but in many places that's the arrangement so that everybody can hear and everybody can see who is the speaker, who is speaking, and can see your expression and can follow what you are speaking. So in other words, it's for service.
About the dress, this conflict, I heard many times that if you are in Western clothes, trousers, you should not sit on Vyasasana. only in devotional cloth of tilak and dhoti. According to
I don't know.
Sometimes
I'm not sure what if we have some strict actual rule about it, but in general, yes, it's yes, of course.
This is no offense. You said in pants and umbrellas.
You know, nowadays it's a controversial topic, but I see no problem. I mean, with. For example, once an old friend of mine was visiting a city I was in from the BBT, and I asked him, "Can you give a class?" Because I haven't seen him for 15 years. I want to hear his new understanding and realization. He's an old devotee, and he says, "I have no dhoti." So I said, "No problem. We will give you a dhoti." So we borrowed from somebody. It takes 2 minutes, 40 seconds. You go to some corner, just put on a dhoti, and that's it. Finished. So that's what he did. He put on a dhoti and he gave a class. It's a 40 seconds question. It's nothing. So if he is somewhat sick or something, okay, then and he cannot, for some reason, cold. Then even in Vrindavan we have seen like what's his name, Gargamuni Prabhu or somebody. Okay, so they were sitting they were using some yogi pants or something, and I think they were also sitting in a chair because I think Vyasa-san, he couldn't sit in Vyasa so low on this type of a seat. So because it's rather low, so he was given a chair. How did we end up here? I don't know. Vyasa-san and Dhoti.
Two types of
ruci.
Ruci.
We started about whether we have to hear all the classes.
Yeah, that's my question.
Okay. So it's a spectrum of different things, and if we certainly have a choice, we prefer the best quality of kirtan and the best quality of everything. But also we see that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sometimes would stop some expert singer, and he would give the kirtan to be led by some very inept singer without any musical sense or voice. Because probably I understand, because in Bengal you have many very expert singers, and so he wanted that people do not think that this is a musical, only musical exercise. He wanted to emphasize this is a service. So therefore, even if it's not so expert, if you do this for Krishna's pleasure, it's accepted. And sometimes you can see somebody that doesn't sing so nicely, but there is such sincerity that it's attractive. It sort of touches your heart, right? So therefore, we do want. It's one of the qualities of a devotee, daksha. He's expert. So we do want that it's as good as possible. But at the same time, you should not forget that the actual beauty of it is that it's for Krishna. And then if it is for Krishna, then it has very special potency in it.
It's especially, I don't know, maybe in India the centers are very well organized, and you can segregate who is a newcomer and put him in different kind of preaching mode and everything. But here we had, at least I have seen personally over now last 4 or 5 years in ISKCON, to many times people come, they get offended or they get very pissed or something, especially newcomers who had some statement one speaker gives in the class, which might be true from that perspective. If you're a little bit advanced, you might understand what perspective he's saying. But for someone newcomer, it's like a very, very fanatic statement. For example, on feminism or on many topics there are. And I have seen people then they simply say, "I'm never going to go to that place." And I also see I have sympathy with them. They don't know anything about us, and they hear this first statement is like a bombshell on them. Then I wonder, is now coming back to that same question, the person who sits and speaks, he speaks what he thinks he has to speak.
So
It ends up actually not bringing people to temple. It ends up, even in this temple, I know many people who don't want to come. They say, I don't like the speaker, I don't know, he's all the time speaking all the fanatic things. What to do?
So this is why we have different classes.
No, yes, in India probably, here, but we are...
And this is why also...
This is becoming political class now.
no, this is not the topics, no?
There will be the presentation will certainly have to be different for a public program and for example a systematic. There will be different levels. Even Bhakti Shastri.
Yeah.
That's also not
Same
for,
Bhakti Shastri, yeah.
not for a complete newcomer. Also, it will be a waste of time.
Yeah.
Because the very simple points will have to be explained and re-explained again and again.
Probably just to concrete, what should be the standard of a Sunday class? Because there is a time, if someone wants to bring someone to show the temple, first time person,
Yeah.
what should be then the kind of, does GBC has some kind of a regulation that...
No, there is no regulation. It's considered to be common sense.
Common sense.
But
common sense is very uncommon.
Uncommon, yes, it's very uncommon. Besides, I find that the last maybe 5 years, the world is becoming very polarized.
So it was what?
The world
It's
is
very polarized. It's true.
becoming
it's very difficult. People
very polarized, very politicized.
Yeah.
And we can see there are big, huge money pumped in the world into creating quarrels.
Yes, true.
And just to destabilize every Western society through quarreling. It doesn't matter which issue. Any issue that women, blacks, guns, what else? Politics. Any issue, just to create quarrel. And then because divide et impera, divide and rule. And because if there is chaos, if people do not cooperate, do not trust each other, and I understand this is the influence of time, but one thing that is good about time is that it comes, but then it goes. The planets move.
But it's not the Kali Yuga, it will go bad, and then there will be the end of the Yuga.
After 400,000 years, yes.
But it has to go bad, right?
It has to go bad. But Brahma Vaivarta Purana does announce 10,000 years of Gauranga era.
In this coming
No,
time.
yes. And as I mentioned, this vegetarianism, and there are a lot of very good things also unfolding. So this is sort of parallel. There will be something good unfolding, and at the same time, Kali Yuga in some areas, in some directions, will also unfold. So polarization can be a part of it. So where do you belong? Are you belonging on the side that increases separation, schisms, how you call it, separation and quarrel, or are you on the side of trying to create more peace and harmony and unity in diversity, as Prabhupada is saying?
I mean, I think the fact also comes from today's world to just exist. You have to have a very strong position. You have to take a position. In outside world, if you have to exist in material world, be it job or be it anything, everyone wants to take something which is yours. So just for you creating your existence, you have to take positions, you have to take stands, and you have to be very solid. And that
it's all very fluctuating. You can see. I think most of us can remember 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the world is very, very different. Very, very different in many regards. And so uncertainty now is certain. And this flux, everything is in flux, it's very confusing. So as devotees, it would be good if we can find shelter in that which is unchangeable, right? So bhakti, this is Bhagavatam, this is, if we can find, this was one of the things that now in Mayapur we have been working upon, to find things that all devotees can agree.
Minimal denomination.
Yes. So this we were discussing Dashamula Tattva. It's very short, very clear, and it's also common. You have it in Madhva Sampradaya, you have it
It's also a name of denominator in Sanskrit.
Bhakti Vinod Thakur, 10 truths.
Yeah.
Krishna is God, Jiva is the servant, Krishna has energies, there is rasas, Krishna connecting to how we are relating to Krishna. So Siddhanta, what is our ultimate philosophy? And then some
Krishna thing.
yeah, what do you call it? Catechism.
Commandments.
10 commandments. No, that's what you meant?
Catechism.
Krishna have 10
Commandments.
Commandments? It's more than that. 10 commandments are just like rules.
Mhm.
It's like, how to behave.
Yeah.
And we can see that they can break them and still consider themselves. So we want more than that. We want the philosophical truths that unite all devotees. And then we see to which extent the differences are accepted. What is the area in which differences are okay, and what is already outside of our society. It's a complicated task to do this.
I have a question. Is there some standard document or something which tells, okay, this is the program, and because I read some Prabhupada letters and there Prabhupada is telling in Aarti we have to use Mridanga and Kartas, but people want to play sometime this, but this is something is approved by GBC or it's just own speculation or what instruments
There was one, several times there was one document on Kirtan standards, but I don't know how official it is, this Kirtan.
Because
Kirtan
Prabhupada
standard.
letter says that in Aarti it's only Mridanga and Kartas, and then otherwise you make your offense if you say to a person, oh, you cannot use this or something like this, like that.
But actually, Lord Chaitanya says you can use any instrument he says whatever, you don't have an instrument clap. If you have instruments, then you
But
can use
Prabhupada
that.
letter says only Mridanga and Kartas. I have a letter, that letter I have.
I have, both they are discussing one thing, are these 3 words. How much
Different
you think,
circumstances.
how much you think these 3 words, Prabhupada said it, has influencing ISKCON in positive or negative sense?
That's also part of...
Because I sometimes think, for example, just you said, he did in time, place and circumstances something.
Yeah. So it's what you are all doing, it's called hermeneutics. How to interpret statements, it's called hermeneutics.
Yeah.
So we need a system to establish. So basically, Srila Prabhupada has given the actual law, we can say, in the books. So we have to find, because this is universal, he said this is for 10,000 years, he said this is, it's written, he usually checked the final edition, so it's more or less solid. Right? Then the next level are letters and conversations which are recorded. So they are subordinate to the books, so they cannot supersede the books. Even if you have a letter from Srila Prabhupada where he says, do like this, don't do like this, it's important, it's a guideline, but it's subordinate to the books. It cannot supersede the books because it's a particular time and place and circumstances, as you point out. It's not as universal as the books. And then the next one is hearsay. Someone said that Prabhupada said. Yes. So Prabhupada himself said, I never said it. Prabhupada himself said, everybody says Prabhupada says, I never say it. So this, like we see Satsarup Maharaj, when he was writing his Prabhupada Lilamrita, he had a rule that he does not include a story if it is not confirmed from several independent sources. Unless he can find 2-3 independent confirmations, it doesn't go in the book. It's a standard. It's a standard of, how to say, I think in responsible, proper, old school journalism, it was the standard.
I mean, even there, I don't want to say there is now Prabhupada Lilamrita and there is a Prabhupada Lilamrita as it is.
Is there?
Oh yes, I can take your name, but I think you can find it even yourself.
Really?
And now one wonders, Which one is the right one to read?
So now you can see it's also beautiful. You have many biographies coming from Prabhupada's disciples, and it's very beautiful to read. It's very inspiring. But you can see they themselves in the introduction they say that okay, this is as far as we can remember. This is as far as some kept some notes, some records are there, but again, so this is the third level of authority, right? And then we can go next. Somebody says Prabhupada came to me in a dream. So I will just.
I mean, it's like very much like a legal word. In legal word is also there is a law which has been approved by the legislature.
Yeah. Precedent.
Then there is a guideline.
Yes, yeah.
Then there is a case law.
Yeah, exactly. So
then there were communications, and then is then. If something is a contradiction, you go back always to the actual text. Even in the commentaries, you go back to the textualism. They call it textualism, that we will go back to text if there are contradictions coming out.
So this is the task we need to develop. It's called.
I'm very happy you said that this is a hierarchy.
Hermeneutics.
Yeah.
And then also you can find some statement, and then you can see what kind of statement is it. Is it a Siddhanta statement?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a rephrasing of Siddhanta?
Analogy or what?
Or is it to support Siddhanta? Or is it to give a historical example to prove Siddhanta?
Mm-hmm.
Then it may not be even factually true.
Yeah, true.
Because Prabhupada took it from newspaper and he thought this is a good illustration, but then it turns out it was some hoax or something. Like, for example, Srila Prabhupada, not to give a clear example, so it doesn't look like I reject something.
No, I mean,
like,
no one thinks so.
Yeah, but I don't know who is gonna.
It's also common people don't speak in this call, and then it's left up to our speculations to think and imagine.
So an example, Aquarius Gospel. Somebody Gospel.
A gospel.
It's called Aquarius Gospel.
Aquarius
So somebody
Gospel.
brought this Aquarius Gospel, and it says Jesus went to Jagannath Puri.
Yes, there is a whole thing about it.
Yeah. So it says Jesus lived for 20
See,
years.
In Bible, there is nothing mentioned
18
from
years.
the 18 to 31 years
Yeah.
what Jesus did, where he was,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
there are theories and theories about it.
So they presented it to Prabhupada as an authorized book.
Mm-hmm.
So then, in some places, he says, even we see that Jesus, it looks like he was in Jagannath Puri.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody came to Srila Prabhupada and said, no, it's not an actual historical work. It was some, I don't know, was he a hippie? I think some hippie.
It is a Russian historian actually.
That's
the first one in 1832.
Notovich. That's a separate thing, yeah. But now we're speaking about the Aquarius Gospel.
Okay.
So Prabhupada then later he sort of rescinded
Mm-hmm.
his quote from Aquarius Gospel because it was presented to him as an historical work, and then somebody explained, no, it was written 5 years ago, 10 years ago, by one hippie who sort of channeled something, and that's his theory. That's how he understands. So then Prabhupada says, oh, so that's not a historical work. So then he says, oh, so then we cannot claim with such certainty that this is how it happened.
You touched a very important topic, which in that.
So in other words, that we have to judge that this was a circumstantial historical evidence brought from the available sources
Mm-hmm.
in the available mood of the time, in the environment of the time, and therefore it is conditional.
Mm-hmm.
It may be true, it may not be true. It supports a true Siddhanta, that Jesus is a great Vaishnava, Jesus is a guru, Jesus is teaching something that's authorized and is taught in India, right? And it looked like there was a confirmation that yes, he did study in India. But then, when it turned out that it's not a reliable source, so then again, Prabhupada said, okay, so then we don't have such a evidence. In other words, the truth is the same, Siddhanta is the same. Okay, Jesus is teaching proper things, serve God, and he's the Son of God, and he's great guru for us and for everybody. But the support, when they checked, it turned out that this support is not valid.
Yeah.
So we have to distinguish what is the Siddhanta and what is the circumstantial, historical, limited, conditional evidence to support Siddhanta. And sometimes it can be true, and sometimes it turns out it was not really valid. So therefore, we are not attached to this particular word because we see it was to support the Siddhanta. And the Siddhanta is, be a Vaishnava, basically. Be a Vaishnava. And respect other Vaishnavas. Even if he's from a different school or something, we still respect that he's a Vaishnava. So that's a Siddhanta. That stays. But the confirmation that he was a Jagannath Puri authorized Parampara member,
there are some people claim there are footprints about Jagannath.
That may be true still, or maybe not. We don't know. We cannot claim with certainty, or disclaim either. We cannot say this way or that way. So anyway, it's already 9:15.
Which you touched this question.
Just a second. Dhanakeli Mataji, sind wir bereit?
We sind fast bereit.
Fast bereit. Okay, fast bereit. Okay.
The question of comparing to like the established Vatican Church, they once came up with a doctrine which is still very much cherishly held in Second Vatican Council. It's called the infallibility of the Pope.
Ah, yeah.
Now as you portray the whole thing, infallibility of the Pope means any statement that Pope has made from now on will be infallible. You cannot question it, you cannot call into. But he's given like a direct snap follower of Peter. He's holding the key of Peter. So they kind of formalize this doctrine. Formalize this doctrine that's called the infallibility of Pope of the Second Vatican Council. As you put it, it seems very logical. It seems rather dogmatic.
Yeah, it's dogmatic. It's sort of
and that thing is dogmatic.
It's lumping all levels together. Because again, we have like Prabhupada, like in our tradition, why we respect Guru, or as Krishna says, Brahmanas are to be respected as me. But he says why? Because they give Shastra, they give Veda. So authority of a sadhu, we have Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. But Guru is a Guru because of Shastra.
Yeah, because of Shastra.
So therefore, we have to, and when we have a right to ask, Guru Maharaj, which verse are you quoting?
Yeah.
Where is it said? Respectfully, not challenging, respectfully, and for our understanding, so that we can also
not to defeat or
so we can understand, so we can have a harmonious system together, and also so we can present it to others who may not accept our Guru.
Exactly.
Maybe they don't accept our Guru, but then we give the Shastra. Here's the Shastra which says. Yeah. So therefore, Prabhupada also, you can see that if you study, you will see that almost everything, practically everything Prabhupada says is a verse.
It's a citation.
It may not be obvious, but if you know, then this is a verse from the Bhagavatam, this is a verse from this canto, this is a verse. So basically, all he says is like Shastra. Yeah. So, and he wanted like this, and he said, I want my disciples to know Bhagavad Gita as the lawyer knows his law book, so that you can quote.
I told him yesterday, speak like a lawyer.
That they can quote the page and the verse, the chapter and the verse. So that he said, I want my devotees to know these books like a lawyer knows their book. I think he also mentioned Bible, that as Christians know the Bible.
They know the Bible very well.
Some of them. I'm not sure.
Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. Christians in sense.
This I don't remember, but the lawyer, he mentioned it. Like, you should know my books like a lawyer knows the law, and they can quote the page and the verse. That's it. So therefore, you can see that Srila Prabhupada sometimes uses something as an example, but then we see, what is the Siddhanta? What is the point he is confirming? And then something he uses to confirm, is it a story? Is it an analogy? Is it something from a newspaper which later turned out to be retracted?
I cannot more appreciate what he said, because sometimes I started to get a feeling we have made Prabhupada like the Prophet Muhammad or Muslims. This was the last prophet, whatsoever he said is done. Nothing more is going to come, nothing more is going to be said.
Yeah.
Said this, said this, now don't talk about it.
You can see every acharya says, I could write more, but I don't want to increase the volume too much. And therefore, you can see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks the Goswamis, you write the books. Srila Prabhupada is asking the disciples, you please write books. Every week you write an essay. All you realized, you write an article for the Back to Godhead.
Yeah.
So he's requesting. So in other words, it's unlimited. Krishna is Bhaktisiddhanta Ji said, we can print a big newspaper every day.
You have no customers.
That thing is something is very nice because
So
you almost get scared in temples these days to just say some statement which might feel like giving the impression of a questioning his interpretation.
Depends.
Oh, but Prabhupada said it. No discussion done.
It depends.
Like, okay,
Depends
sorry.
on which temple. I was luckier.
You are luckier. You are the luckiest guy. Right, so I can tell you from
Just a
3-4
second.
years living in temple, it has come
Something
to that.
else I wanted to mention. That Prabhupada. Yeah, some disciples declared Prabhupada God.
Yeah, that happened, I know.
And what did Prabhupada do? He didn't.
Inspired them.
Yes, he expelled them.
Yeah.
He didn't say, "Oh, what to do, my disciples."
No, I mean
And-
there is a limit. There is a limit to tolerate.
And like technically, we can accept him as a Shakti Vaishnavata. He is an empowered personality.
Very much.
Yeah, like what he did is incredible. It's really incredible.
No doubt about it.
And as one person can be comprehended. But when some disciples did declare that he is God, he didn't say, "Oh, what to do, my disciples? If they have faith, maybe it will increase their faith." No, he was disgusted himself.
Yeah, and there's a Siddhanta is not changed.
Yeah.
I see your point where you're going.
And then
Siddhanta is
he kicked them out until they repented and became humble, and then he accepted them back after some years. He accepted them back. So Prabhupada he's always said, "I have no credit. If there is any credit, it's just because I repeat the parampara message from my Guru Maharaj, from the Shastra." And when somebody rejected, he said that he doesn't believe me is totally okay.
Yeah.
But then he said, but that he doubts the Bhagavatam, it's so stupid. So he said, the fact that he doesn't believe me, it's okay. That's okay. But that he rejects the Shastra, he's foolish. Anyway, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Krishna Chakravarti Thakur ki jai, Nidai Go Premanande.